Hi guys, in this video I want to talk to you about what to do if you find someone who's unconscious, unresponsive. Because if you've been on a first aid course or if you looked in first aid manuals, they teach you one way. You know, if the casualty is on the back looking up and you're ready to come and do your first aid skills. But people don't always collapse on the back. They collapse in lots of different places, face down, down the bottom of the stairs, on a sofa, in the toilet cubicle, in lots of different places. So you have to apply the knowledge that I'm going to show you now, or maybe you've been taught a first aid course, and adapt it to the situations we can find ourselves in. Okay, so when you come across an unconscious casualty, doesn't matter what position they're in, we're going to use Dr. AB. D stands for danger. We've got to make sure it's safe for us to approach. So we're going to look out for things like fire, electrical cables, dangerous people, animals, traffic, and make sure it is safe before we approach a casualty. Then we're going to do R for response. We're going to talk to them. We're going to get consent. And if they respond and they say no, we're not going to touch them. But if they don't respond when I say, "Hi, are you okay there?" we can proceed. It's called assumed or implied consent. They haven't responded to my voice, so now we're going to gently squeeze them on the shoulders to see if we can wake them up. And you can do this, doesn't matter what position they're in, whether they're face down, sitting up, laying down. We can do this no matter what position they're in. There's no response. It's A for open the airway. So we're going to put one hand on the forehead, two fingers underneath the chin, and we're going to do a chin lift and a head tilt to fully open the airway, which moves the tongue out of the way, which could be blocking the airway. It's not the mouth you're opening, it's the airway. And then we're going to do B for breathing. We're going to look, we're going to listen, and we're going to feel for normal breathing for up to 10 seconds. And if this is an adult, they should be breathing at least 2 to 4 times in that 10 seconds. And it has to be normal breathing like you and I are doing right now. So you should see the chest rise and fall. You should feel the breath on your cheek. You should also be able to hear it as well. Now you notice in those examples, the casualty was sitting up or laying upwards so you can actually open the airway. But what happens if they're not? What happens if they are face down? Well, you're going to have to turn them in order to be able to open the airway correctly and look, listen and feel for breathing. So in order to do that, we need to put the arm closer to you up nice and straight. We then need to lean over them and grab solid bits of the body, so shoulder and hip bone, and pull them towards you, making sure we catch the head so it doesn't go thud on the floor. And when they're on the back, they're in the position we want them to be. We can then open the airway by doing the head tilt and chin lift that we've been practicing. So you've checked their breathing for 10 seconds. An adult should be breathing between 2 to 4 times in that 10 seconds. If they are, then they're breathing perfectly normally, but they are unconscious. So you need to maintain the airway, but you also need to call the ambulance. Now, if you are by yourself, you can't maintain an airway and go and open the front door and call the ambulance because you have to let go of the airway. And when you let go of the airway, then what will happen is the airway will close. Now, if there's lots of people around, then you can maintain the airway. So whether on the sofa, whether on the floor, you can just do that chin lift and head tilt and maintain the airway. But if you have to leave the casualty and you're unable to maintain the airway, meaning you've let go and the airway closes, you do need to learn how to put them in the recovery position. Now the recovery position is quite simple. All you need to do is lean over the casualty. This helps you get your hands the right way around. The hand closest to the casualty's head, you're going to link fingers and gently slap their cheek. Then with the other hand that's closest to their knee, you're going to go behind the knee, lift the leg up until the foot hits the floor. Then push the shin as close as you can to the bottom. That's probably the hardest thing to do. Then all you need to do is just put a few fingers on the casualty's knee and push it towards you. By doing that, the casualty will then roll over on their side. Make sure the knee's nice and high at 90 degrees to their body. Then you can slide out the hand that's underneath their cheek. And that's their pillow. But don't forget then to open the airway. So the reason the casualty is on their side like this is so that the airway is open without you maintaining it yourself. They're also on their side to drain any fluids that might appear in the mouth, such as saliva or vomit. So just to recap then, it doesn't matter what position you find somebody in, you still apply Dr. AB. You make sure it's safe to approach. You talk to them as you're approaching to try and get consent, but also to see if they wake up. Then you squeeze their shoulders to see if they're going to respond to touch. No response. I'm then going to open the airway using a head tilt and chin lift. We're looking, listening and feeling for normal breathing. Now, if you can't open the airway in the position they're in, you're going to have to turn them over. in order to be able to open the airway and not let them feel for breathing. When you know they're breathing but they're unconscious, you need to call the ambulance. Now, you need to make sure you maintain the airway and call the ambulance. So if you can't maintain the airway because you have to leave the casualty, you need to be able to put them in the recovery position. Thanks guys so much for listening. All the best. Stay well, keep safe.